first guest tonight is a Tony-nominated and Grammy Award-winning singer and actor you know from the movies Pixels, Beauty and the Beast, and Frozen, as well as the musicals Gutenberg and The Book of Mormon. He stars in Adulthood, which opens in select theaters September 19th and on digital September 23rd. Let's take a look.
This is my sister. This is our mom's home. We heard a noise, me and these people. These are my good friends. It was false alarm, not an on-purpose false alarm. That would be, I would imagine, illegal, but it was a false. So we haven't heard anything since? We haven't heard anything since, right?
No. It's been very quiet.
It's quiet.
Sir, have you been smoking cannabis?
Yes.
Please welcome back to the show our friend Josh Gad! I'm so happy you're here. I want to talk about everything good that's happening in your life, but can we start?
I want to talk about bad stuff.
Okay. Well, you do have one bad thing, but unfortunately, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a major thing. But we're both football fans, and you grew up in Florida, and you're a Miami Dolphins fan, and bad start.
I'm so pissed. I was actually gonna, it's awful. I hate the Dolphins right now.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring my phone because I wanted you to go through, not only am I having a bad season as a Miami Dolphins fan.
Yeah, it's only one game, but it looks bad.
No, it's very unpromising.
Yeah.
For the season itself.
Yeah.
Because what's interesting is in football, you need a quarterback who can make throws that people catch.
Yeah.
We don't have that. That's
Currently.
a problem.
Currently.
And then my fantasy league.
Oh, that's all. Yeah.
Unmitigated.
Usually, yeah, because if my beloved Steelers are doing poorly, I hope that my at least fantasy does well. But you're saying both are trending down.
But you know that my second favorite team is the Steelers because I went to school at Carnegie Mellon.
Yes, of course. A great place to go to school,
Great
and a
place to go
great
to
city,
school.
and a great football team.
They look amazing.
And can I tell you something about?
guys are gonna get
Can I tell
Tyreek.
you something about the Miami Dolphins?
Nope.
They mean nothing to me.
Yes. Can I tell you something about the Miami Dolphins? They mean nothing to me.
I bet they'll be back. They'll be back.
No, they will.
Yeah.
But you can't give up on a team that you love.
No, it's the best
But
thing
here
about
we are.
it.
I'm giving up on that.
It's just midway between week 1 and 2. Congrats on this film.
Thank you.
This is about you play someone who finds a dead body in your mom's basement.
Yes.
Which helps, I think, see the vibe of that scene we saw.
That hopefully you have a context for what you want. I was like, I wonder what the audience makes of what's happening right now. This is one of those scripts that I read, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the best Coen Brothers movie I've never read.
Yeah.
And it's such an exquisite cast. Alex Winter.
Who's from Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted.
Fantastic actor as well.
Lost Boys.
Yep.
A movie we grew up with. I'm assuming you grew up with it.
Both of them.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
It was basically my babysitter. My parents would just go out and put that on.
The Lost Boys?
Yeah, they'd be like, all right, watch it again.
Yeah, my parents did Nightmare on Elm Street. But yes, Alex Winter is also an extraordinary director.
It's great.
And the movie is awesome. It's just such a cool and different movie.
Do you know right away that you're dealing with an awesome director, like day one?
You kind of do.
Yeah.
What I love about Alex and the type of director he is he's lived in the shoes of an actor.
Right.
Which I feel like there's just more communicative, whereas like sometimes I feel like a prop in a movie.
Yeah.
Like he really understands me.
Yeah. It's funny because, some directors, they just care about what it looks like visually, and they forget that some of the props are actually human beings who oftentimes, based on the career we chose, have no self-esteem.
No, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Like when you're like, how was that? They're like, good. You're like, what?
Well, I'm sure you have this. I have such insecurity. So, like, I need to be told by a director, really good work.
Yes.
Even if I'm doing awful work.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me it's promising so that I can grow from
Yeah.
it. But I've worked with the kind of director who's like, that was not good.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how do you, if you're doing a job and your boss comes up to you and they're like, that was awful.
but tomorrow, when you make the burger, I'm sure it'll be better. You're gonna make a burger.
Yeah, you are. Well, yeah, you've got to work with a lot of them, and obviously, you know, when you're as prolific as you are, you have good experiences, bad experiences. But I put money on the fact that you have an experience coming up that maybe you're anticipating more than any before. You're about to start a new Spaceballs movie.
It's even pinching myself.
And basically, by your own hand, like you willed this into existence.
This is. Do I have time to tell this story? Really
Go
quick?
for it.
So I don't even care. They can't stop me at this
Yeah.
point. You'll edit around it. So 3 years ago, I show my daughter the oeuvre of Mel Brooks, one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. Guy's a genius.
How old was she when you did this?
42.
Okay.
So
It's the right time.
she's 11.
Okay, so that's good to know. That's when they can do
Yeah,
Brooks.
so this would have been like, she would have been like 10, 9 at the time.
Yeah.
So, no, 3 years ago. I don't do math.
Yeah.
So, whatever that was.
Yeah.
So I show her a bunch of the movies. We get to Spaceballs, and she goes, "Can we watch part 2?" And I said, "There is no part 2." She goes, "Yeah, there is." He says it because Mel Brooks in the movie goes, "God willing, we all meet again in Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money." So she assumed that's a promise that was kept.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Like my Miami Dolphins, they lied. And so she's like, "Well, why didn't they do it?" And I said, "I don't know." And I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I went to bed that night, and I swear to God, I dreamt up the entire movie that we're about to start shooting in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I called Mel Brooks, because I'm a jackass who just picks up the phone and calls Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
And I pitched him, for, I actually recorded it. And
With his consent?
Nope.
Okay.
Admitting that now, actually, I was like, there are legal ramifications for what you're about to say. And I still did it. And so I called him and I recorded him without his permission. And he said, after I pitched him, he said, "Josh, I've been waiting 35 years for this phone call." And it was one of the, like, I actually
Yes!
get emotional thinking about it. And thank you. And I wish I could tell you anything about this movie. I've been sworn to secrecy. But if you are a fan of Spaceballs, you're gonna love Spaceballs.
I'm very excited. And by the way, you to speak, like he had also publicly said he had no interest in making
No
it. So you
interest.
had to push through his public statements.
I knew that.
That's really amazing.
And I honestly can't believe we're here. But more than anything, I'm so grateful that I'm getting to do it while Mel is still with us.
It's unbelievable.
That's the greatest.
It's a gift that he's with us. The gift you're doing.
99.
I got a lot more questions. We'll be back with more from Josh Gad. We're back. We're here with Josh Gad. Last night you went to Hamilton.
Last night I went to Hamilton.
You've seen Hamilton.
Yesterday would have been my 7th time I've seen Hamilton. I
But
think.
something special about last night.
Yes, it was less than $15,000. I saw my classmate, Leslie Odom, return.
Fellow Carnegie Mellon.
Fellow Carnegie Mellon. That man right there returned to Broadway I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that it is top 10 like performances ever in a Broadway musical. I really believe that Leslie as Aaron Burr is like Yul Brynner, King and I.
It's really
I don't
something,
know why
and I will say,
is the analogy I made, but yes.
I want to say this, which is I feel very lucky. One of the things I love about living in New York City is I feel like I've seen some of these seminal Broadway performances, like Leslie in Hamilton, right? I saw that original cast. I also was lucky enough to see you and Andrew in Book of Mormon, and I just remember like walking in with all, give it up for Book of Mormon, everybody. Didn't see it first week, so like I was, up against the hype, right? And I still walked out being like better than anybody said. Now, what was when you first read the script for Book of Mormon? Did you know? You're like, oh my God, this is going to be a hit.
No.
Okay.
No, I first read the script and I said, I cannot do this.
Yeah.
I was like, it's so funny because I was going through the songs and I got sent a demo. And the first song is like, "Hello, my name is," and then the second song is like, "2 by 2. And I'm like, these are so fun. Then it gets to a little song called Hasadiga Ibawai, which I'm not going to translate on national television. But when I got to that song, I called up my agent and I'm like, I don't think I can do this. And he goes, it's Trey and Matt. I mean, of course it's gonna be crazy. Of course you can do it. And I said, listen to this. He goes, you cannot do this. And we did the first reading. And at the time, Trey and Matt were still toying with the fact that they thought it was gonna be an animated musical.
Oh.
And so they had like all of these rudimentary drawings behind them. And we did that reading, and I remember white knuckling it the first time we did Hasadiga, and I heard one person go, silence, and I'm like, we're dead. And then one person in the audience started laughing, and it gave permission to everybody to start laughing, and from that point on, I never looked back.
By the second show, did you know it's a hit?
It was one of those things where I think if you speak to anyone involved with Mormon, we all thought it was going to run for 3 months.
Right.
We thought that like South Park fans were going to come, but like I did not think there was a world in which like it became Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Joke's on me, guys.
Yeah. Well, that's the
15
thing. If you
years
walk,
later.
like sometimes I don't know, if I'm like walking Broadway out my way to see a show and I see people in line for a Book of Mormon, it's
wild.
like, I mean, again, you're just like, it's just the same as everything.
It's a tourist show.
Yeah.
Have you heard the lyrics to Book of Mormon? How did they do it?
It's incredible. I mean, it speaks
incredible.
to all of the work you guys put into it. Look, you've done a lot of work. We've obviously talked about your highs. There's also things you've come very close to. And I think for actors, it's good to know, like young actors, it doesn't always end up working out. You came very close.
Superman.
The last one, the most recent one.
The most recent.
Avatar.
Oh, yes.
So how close did you come to Avatar?
It was between me and another guy who got the role.
Okay.
And so this is the weirdest thing. I remember vividly my audition for Avatar to the point that I had to learn the language, Na'vi, from, I believe, the same gentleman responsible for like modern Klingon. And so I had to work with a dialect coach on this make-believe blue person language. And to this day, I can do my audition line. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Auve ut aria yohengehi naumalir tok CVE.
Wow, really good. Really good. I mean,
Compare it to watch that and the movie side by side, and you'll understand why I didn't get it.
Josh, it's always just the best to have you here. I'm so excited for this movie, for other movies. That's our secret handshake. We remembered it. Josh Gad, everybody. Adulthood in theaters, September 19th on digital, September 23rd. We'll be right back at 10.